All right, let's take a look at the proper setup procedures for the thickness planer. As is the case with all of our machines, the first thing I'm going to do is grab the air hose and clean it off. We've got an air hose right over here by the large bandsaw, so I'm going to clean this machine real quick. Now that the machine is clean, I've got to measure my workpiece because the setup of this machine is entirely dependent on the workpiece. So what I'm going to do, I've got my workpiece here, and I'm going to take a couple of different measurements because I can see that it's thinner at this end than it is at this end. So when I take my measurements, at the thin end, it is 11/16. At the thick end, it's a little over 3/4. And then if I measure the other side, I'm getting 13/16 and 11/16. So the thickest dimension on this workpiece is 13/16 of an inch. That is the measurement that I have to set the thickness planer to. I'm going to show you why it's important to set the machine to the thickest part of your workpiece. Okay, I wanted to show you real quick what the reason is for why we are going to set the thickness planer to the thickest dimension on our workpiece instead of the thinnest dimension. So I'm going to just sketch up here, very exaggerated, so that it's easier to see, a model of a workpiece. And you can see we have a very thick end over here and a very thin end down here. And let's say, for this example, this end is 1 inch thick, and this end is a 1/2 inch thick. This is not out of the realm of possibility, but it's unlikely that you would find a workpiece that matched these dimensions. The reason we set to the thickest dimension and not the thinnest is that the planer is not capable of removing a 1/2 inch difference in a single pass. It really often won't even remove much more than a 1/16 of an inch, and that would only be on a very small workpiece. So we set to 1 inch, and then when we run our workpiece through, the planer is going to just trim off the very highest part of that. And then when we close the machine, when we raise the table up a full rotation of that adjustment handle, that's going to be a 1/16 of an inch, and feed it through again, on the next pass, it's going to cut off a little bit more. And then we close it another full rotation, and it's going to cut off a little bit more. And we keep repeating that, and with every pass, we cut off a little bit more until we finally get to a point where the planer is cutting the full length of the board and getting the entire surface of the workpiece. That's the reason why we have to set our planer to the thickest measurement and not the thinnest measurement. So now that you've seen why it's important to make sure we set it to the thickest part of our workpiece, remember, the thick part on this workpiece was 13/16 of an inch. So I'm going to go to my adjustment handle and my scale on the front leg of the machine, and I'm going to adjust this to 13/16 of an inch. So you can see it took a number of rotations to bring that table all the way up. And now the scale right here is reading 13/16. It's critical with this machine that you know how to read your ruler and your tape measure down to the 16th accurately. If you can't do that, your workpiece is going to get stuck in this machine, which is going to cause a dangerous situation for you. Once I've got this set to my thickest measurement, I'm ready to go. So that is the extent of the setup for the thickness planer in order to be able to use it.